Welcome to Mobile Armor Radio, the podcast for all things Mecha. Jumpship incoming.
Welcome to Mobile Armor Radio, episode 32. I'm one of your hosts, Brian.
And I'm Chopper.
And I'm Rob.
And welcome. Welcome to this exciting episode. We got a lot to talk about today.
We're in the second month of the new year now, right?
Yeah, the second month of 2021. We've got the dead of winter for most of us.
That's true.
But we do have some fun things to look forward to. Some people might enjoy celebrating Valentine's Day coming up here before the end of the month.
You could tell you're just married.
No. Oh.
He's still happy.
He's still, yeah. He's not dead.
He's not dead on the inside.
Of course. And so we're gonna be celebrating that a little bit later here in our little Mecha way. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves,
make some great cakes, though, right?
Yes.
Oh,
delicious cakes.
So maybe then you should celebrate.
Yeah, both your wives are bakers.
It's true.
Lucky bastards.
She's more of an artiste, my wife, than a baker, but she does make nice stuff.
They look good, they just don't taste good. She'll never hear this, right?
Yeah, she never listens to this podcast.
I won't get loud in the house ever again.
All right, well, before we get anybody else in too much trouble, let's move on to the Dropship.
Dropship landing.
And welcome back to the Dropship. This is the section of the show where we talk about things that we've been working on. So I'm going to throw it over to Pat. You first.
Yeah. You've actually worked on stuff. I know you.
Yes, surprising enough, I've actually been working quite a bit. And I've actually posted some stuff
nice.
On the Facebook page. So a couple of things now. I've defined the colors and straightened out the colors of my rock Cav army. I got all the tanks painted up. I got a couple mechs. So as I'm painting along, I do another mech here and there. So I'm kind of rotating several projects at the same time. So as to get through most of this, what else did I paint? I got a resin printer.
Oh, neat.
Which was a very, very impulse buy. And since I got the resin printer, I reprinted a lot of my mechs that I printed because I was going to make a bunch of Lyran lances. And so I reprinted my assault lance, which I was, what's the word I'm looking for here? Stupidly decided to pick the Arcturian Guard, which are all white. So painting the resin over the FDM is a little bit easier and better when painting white. So I've since almost finished the Atlas. I started the Battle Master, and I forget what the other two I printed. The Longbow and what's the other one? Awesome. I just primed those up. And the other mech stuff that I put together, I started painting my Dwarf Armada ships. I guess those could be considered mechish, since they're not powered by wind.
True.
Powered by steam.
Dwarves.
I'll allow it.
Did you say wolves?
Dwarves.
Oh, dwarves. And then now I have a challenge from, I forget that gentleman's name. Does anyone remember that gentleman's name?
I can probably look it up quick.
Let's give him a shout out for putting the challenge in my court.
For screwing you over?
I don't think it's screwing me over. I think it's going to be a fun painting project. The thing is being able to paint the palm trees.
It was Jason Frazier.
Jason Frazier. He threw the challenge to actually make me paint a clan mech. So I'm going to start a new clan. It'll be the Clan Vacation Guys. And they'll all be in shorts and what do you call those shirts? Beach shirts?
Hawaiian shirts?
Hawaiian shirts. I almost went Tom Bahama.
Oh.
Magnum PI shirts.
Magnum PI.
Oh,
shirts,
give some a mustache.
Yes.
If I can get a face, if one of the mechs got a face, yeah, definitely. I've even been playing toying around or just leaving the arms and the head, anything that's not quote unquote cloth. I was going to leave as like silver, unpainted metal.
So it's like their skin.
Yeah.
My favorite part about the whole thing is you don't even remember saying that you want to paint people like they're Hawaiians. So. Just like, I guess I said that.
I obviously said it because he gave me some ideas of which clan mix to use, and I wish I remember what context was it. I mean, it's not too far fetched of an idea. It's something I would have said.
As some of you may have noticed on this show, some of us do seem to have like some short-term memory loss when it comes to what we said in previous episodes.
It's not even short-term memory loss. Just a lot of stuff comes out of my mouth and I forget I said it.
I'm guilty of it too. How many times have I flubbed the intro?
Well,
I mean, we must have been talking. It must have been funny because I wouldn't have thought.
Obviously, it was funny. Come on. The best thing is we could just go back and listen to it, but we all refuse to find out what the context was.
Yeah, we don't want to go scrolling through. So I'm just going to do it. I'm going to take the challenge and I'm going to do it. And something great's going to come of it. So
lesson to anybody, they could just post something and say, last time you said this, you got to do this now. And we're like, we did?
I guess so.
There's like a 90% chance we would not have remembered we said that. So
with great power comes great responsibility, fans.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. Don't abuse it.
So that project's in the work. I actually have an Atlas. Oh, I need a clan mech, so never mind. I'm scrapping that project now. I need to find me a clan mech.
Is there an Atlas clan version? There is clan versions of certain mechs.
Everyone knows my disdain for clans, so I don't have a heavy knowledge of all the clan mechs. So I need to be a little bit better at that, I guess.
I don't think there's an Atlas 2C, but there's could do a Marauder. I don't know if that would work.
No, I forget what Jason said.
Warhammer 2C. You could do Warhammer.
He put down 2 suggestions, so I'm going to look and see if we can get it. And then we'll start from there. If I can make a star of Vacation Guys, that'll be the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
Then I'll have started a new clan. So Brent Evans, if you're listening, Clan Vacation Guys.
That's where Clan Wolverine's been this whole time. Just on vacation.
Exactly. They're on clan, and they've changed their ways, and they're just Clan Vacation Guys now. There's a story in there. I know
it. Not a good one, but there is one.
We'll get Brian Young. He'll figure it out for us.
Just write up a new story.
Anything else I've been painting? Because we did put the hammer down, and we painted like a lot.
Well, your computer died, so you had a lot more hobby time.
That and my wife is on the Sega binge, Sega Genesis binge. So,
oh, nice.
I go down there when she's playing Sega Genesis. I think that's all I got.
Nice. How about you, Rob?
For Christmas, my good buddy Jack gave me a Zoid Liger, a 172 scale model, so he's huge. So I made him. Took me a while. He's big. He's a big boy. Like I did post pictures, I think, on Mobile Arm Radio, and with scale to a he's a 32 millimeter miniature because he's a peacekeeper he's a big guy from Dead Zone.
Oh, nice.
And this thing is huge; it dwarfs him. So yeah. If I'm ever going to need a 28 millimeter Zoid to come rushing into a game, play with one of those generic games like Gamma Wolves or any other ones.
It was very frustrating at times for him.
Well, he had a lot of pieces, and a lot of it was, as always with model kits, it's always fun to fight through them. But, he was fun. Well, the results are fun. Putting them together, maybe not always fun, but the results were fun. And, so I did him. That took me a long time. And then I've been painting a ton of Battletech, because my New Year's resolution sort of was to paint some Lances of Battletech, because I have thousands of Lances laying around here. And I had some primed, so I actually painted these ones. And I did a Knights of the Inner Sphere Lance. They're white and gold. Once again, doing the white. And, they weren't too bad. I did a Sword of Light. which are red, I believe, red and I think there's red. Fourth Alliance Guards and Lyran Guards for the Lyrans. I did 2 of those. The Fourth Alliance Guards, I think that's what you did your big mech as, right, Pat? The blue and gold.
What did we print? Was that a Marauder?
Yeah, I think you did Marauder, yeah.
Yeah, I did the blue and gold one.
Yeah, and then the Lyran Guards are half blue, half white. Death Commandos, which are black with some green accents. I tried to do, trying to do lances of groups I didn't have. From, like, obviously I have Davians, but I wanted to fill in. I did Smoke Jaguars. I did do some clans, so I did some Smoke Jaguars. And I did a single Jade Falcon to fill out an old star I had. I only had 4 mechs, because for some reason, Ironwind, when they do clan sets, they only do 4 in a box instead of 5, so it's annoying. So I had to fill in one of those. And none of them were from the new Kickstarter. They're all just old ones I had primed. So I have the whole new Kickstarter for Wave 1 laying here to prime and paint too. So there'll be a lot more hopefully done. But once again, I had all this time to paint with Pat since his computer died. So we were I had a lot to do. I gotta prime a lot more though, so I can catch up. For what I've been working on, I think that's been about it. But I think that's pretty good. I haven't posted any pictures yet because I haven't sprayed them yet. I haven't done the final spray on them, but once I do that, I'll post them all up.
And he hasn't set up his light box yet?
No, that's never going to happen. It's one of those things. It's just going to sit in the corner for the rest of life. Brian, what about you? What you been up to?
Well, I didn't actually come up with a New Year's resolution for it, but I have also been doing a whole lot of painting lately. Not kind of mech tangent, as listeners may recall. I play a lot of Dead Zone, and I was kind of looking at my terrain collection and just feeling really unsatisfied with it. And so I took apart a lot of the kind of first assemblies that I'd put together of the stuff. It's all basically, is it 3-inch?
Yep.
Yeah, 3-inch like squares of different pieces and stuff that you can kind of clip together. They're really, put together in a nice way. Sometimes the clips can be a little touchy, but I kind of just took it upon myself to go, okay, I want to start making some buildings that would exist in a colony. And so I built this 2x3 med center that kind of had a wall in between, so it kind of divided into 2 sides that had doors, and had a lot of fun with that. I decided to paint it white for the most part, with some red to kind of be an accent color, and it came together in a really cool way. And so after that, I built another little little hab unit pods that are just a 1 cube, so a 3-inch by 3-inch structure, but I built them so they can stack on top of one another, using some techniques from some other people have posted about using the Mantic terrain kits and stuff like that. But I've been really happy with how it's turned out, and so I've been a bit on a terrain building kick, as it were. But I've also been for Christmas, my buddy Rick also got me he painted up for me a couple of Cav units in Gundam colors. So and I gotta say, it's simple color palette, but it turned out really well, and I'm like, man, when I finally get around to painting Cav stuff, I think that's the color scheme I'm going to go with. It was kind of just the gray with blue and red.
Oh yeah, that's cool. The regular Gundam colors.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know, for most part, those kind of games, is it a color coding thing to determine who you're allied with, or is it a mech thing?
It's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
A little bit of both.
Or neither, as it were, because anybody can have any mech, because you can end up having them. And, I think color schemes are kind of, generalities. It's not like Battletech where it's so codified. I think it's...
John Walker just released on the CAV website at TalonGames.com. There's a CAV journal that's got kind of quote unquote the official color schemes of the different factions. But those the one thing he wants to make perfectly clear is that these are just references. They're not the be all end all. It's not like you can't paint your rack these colors.
Gotcha.
Yeah, okay. It could be different divisions or whatever, different color schemes.
Yeah, and that's what that's all I do is I take, like with the rock, they're supposed to be loud and kind of gregarious, and so I just kind of base something like that and pick the colors I liked, which were kind of red and kind of a purple.
Gotcha.
It worked out really well.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of been the thing. I've also been kind of trying with this is to really try out some different painting techniques and do things like for a lot of those pieces I did a priming technique where it was I primed it all black and once I had it assembled I hit it with some white from a distance to kind of do a shadow effect on it, and it turned out really cool. Oh, that's right. I also did. I finally finished putting together and painting. I had a little 1x2 cube bar, as it were, like a little bar and grill kind of thing that I named after Rainer's Raiders kind of thing.
Does it have a giant chicken wing on top?
It does not have a giant chicken wing on top yet.
That's Get Rick to 3D print you a chicken wing.
It should have a giant.
I might do that.
It should have a giant Zerg wing.
Yeah. Some other alien wing. Yeah.
A plague wing.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So that's been a big thing for me. It's been kind of nice. My wife plays D&D, and so while she's playing that, I'll be out next to her with my little tray of painting and stuff. I've started painting Plague as well. But that's a little less mech related. But I am going to start trying to get my hands on some more of the bigger mechs for Dead Zone, because there's rumors going around that a Firefight beta is in the works and might be getting released soon, which means a little bit larger scale events in the Warpath universe. So definitely need to get some vehicles assembled and more Striders and Iron Ancestors.
Cool.
But yeah, so been strangely enough doing a lot of hobbying.
It's this time of year. You got nothing better to do. You can't go outside, so
yeah, but for a number of reasons. But but with that, let's talk about some of the other stuff that we get into in ComStar.
Message from ComStar.
Welcome to ComStar. This is the section of the show where we kind of talk about other things in the mech world, as it were, that we're enjoying, whether that be books, movies, anime, video games, anything else under the sun and behind it. So we'll start with Rob this time.
I got some news. The big thing is that Kids Logic is finally making a game out of their amazing minis. It's going to be called Macross Dogfight. And they announced the box set's going to have 4 miniatures in it, which is one miniature is actually a Veritech in all 3 forms, or a Valkyrie in all 3 forms, and against a officer pod, which is the Marauder. Different scale, of course. So that's going to be the box set. Who knows how much it's going to cost? Also, it's called Macross Dogfight, which are they allowed to sell it in North America? Will Harmony Golds jump on them? You can't have Macross videos.
I didn't even put two together just now.
Yeah, I wonder about. They do sell all the miniatures though, and miniatures do have Macross on them. So maybe there's some loophole that they're able to sell miniatures, but they can't do the DVDs that everybody wants. But
maybe it's because it's like the first season kind of thing. It's specifically about the Macross. But
yeah, I don't know. But I'm excited about the game. I think the Kids Logic stuff's a little expensive, so I assume this game's going to be a bit more premium, but we'll see what's in it. Hopefully it's got some nice buildings or something and mats.
Yeah. Well, Do you think it's going to be like a dog fight, like a fighter game?
It's 1-on-1, so yeah.
But you know what I meant? More fighter gamey than mech-y?
Well, it's going to be like Macross, which is not like Battletech. You're flying around, fighting each other, like it's high speed. It's definitely...
Because you know how much of a sucker I am for fighter games.
Well, obviously you can switch into your fighter mode or Gerwalk mode, so it's going to have... I think it's going to be like, those early fights in Robotech or Macross when they're in the city fighting the pods and stuff, where it's a high action. Like I say, it's not like Battletech where you're plodding around. It's definitely anime where you're flying and doing some cool maneuvers and stuff.
They really move fast in Robotech and Macross.
Yeah. Yeah, especially, Gundam too. When you see the fights in the space in Gundam where they're just zipping around, I always love that. Mm. It's definitely a different feel, but, yeah, hopefully it's got that feel in the game. We don't know. No, we don't know anything about it. They just announced it. They put out the picture of the box set. We don't know even the size of the box. Like, it's only got 4 mechs in it, so it can't be too big. Like 4 miniatures.
Is that a prototype? Maybe it's even a prototype box.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, we don't know anything more than that. They just announced it like literally at the time of recording, like 2 days ago. So,
and I will say, like, even though I tend to enjoy the Macross side of that series a bit more than Robotech, I am excited to see all the new games and content that's coming out for Robotech stuff. It's always really cool to see.
It's definitely a renaissance in the world of Robotech. After Palladium kind of went down, it seems like it opened up the floodgates for a lot of other companies to fill in that void. And so far, I think they've all been doing really well. So,
yeah,
it's
license exclusivity seems like it can really drain an IP at times.
Yeah, especially an IP that's a nostalgia IP. Like if it's your own IP, whatever. But if it's something like that where you want the most out of it you can, and obviously, with Robotech, Harmony Gold owns the license, but they've been licensing it out to a lot of people, which is a good sign. Mm. It's not like they're controlling it. They're not being, they obviously just want the money, but that's good for us because the more they license it out, the more chance we have good games come out of it. So it actually brings me on to another thing. I just got the Infinite Invasion Robotech game. It was on, they kind of did like a crowdfunding thing for it. And I got the one that came with all the miniatures. And like I think it's in the actual game, it's a standees. I don't think there's no actual miniatures. It's just standees, but I got the miniature version, and I have a crap ton of it's all based on the later series. What is it? I never remember what generations they call each other. The one that's Mospita, anyways.
This generation.
Is it the next generation?
Yeah, new generation, whatever it is. It's based on that one. So it's cause this company, which company is it? I can't remember who made this one, but they put out a game for each different, thing. And this one's an actual miniature kind of combat kind of game. So
neat.
It's a lot of, the miniatures are weird scale. Like they're not really scaled to each other and they're not scaled to any other games. So it's not really useful for anything else, but they're nice. They're kind of a board game kind of feel to them, but they're still good details on them. I haven't posted any pictures of them yet because I'm still just looking at them and stuff. But maybe I'll do a show and tell of some sort, a visual one, and show them off. Because I don't think a lot of people have this game, the Infinite Invasion game. It's not out in stores yet. I think they're just doing to the Kickstarter backers right now. Or it's not even Kickstarter. It was like some other funding platform. And, these miniatures are also, I don't think they're going to be available. I think it was an exclusive thing they just did for this thing. So we'll see if I hope they make them available because they're nice miniatures. But maybe do them as, expansion packs or add-ons to the, Infinite Invasion. Pat's got the COVID.
I died.
No!
He can't. He's got a shot.
That's right.
Yeah.
Diplomatic immunity.
What else have I been doing? Ultraman comic is really good. Pat, did you finally read the newest? Newest? It's kind of wraps up the intro, and they kind of set the new paradigm with Ultraman having to fight all these monsters coming to Earth.
Very excited about it.
Yep. Because before, I guess there's a secret organization the government runs that was kind of keeping the monsters on the DL, kind of making it so nobody really knew what was going on. But now, where they were sending the monsters is kind of it's over full, and it's now exploding into our reality. So now Ultraman's got to be public and go and stop these invasions. Kind of Pacific Rim kind of style, coming from another dimension. Obviously, Ultraman was first, but I never watched the original show. Is this kind of what the original show was like too, or is this giving a little bit more background?
Yeah, it was like Earth Defense Force. They were like aliens coming on, and then Ultraman himself was an alien who actually crashed into a human.
Yeah, it's the same.
After himself. Yeah, it's just like the comic book.
But with the other dimension and stuff, that's all new expansion to it?
Yeah, because this was just, I don't know if he was from another dimension, he's just from another planet.
Yeah.
And the old, latex suit, cardboard building fighting guy.
Classic Japanese.
Basically, he just grabbed a part of himself.
Rubber suit shows. What do they call those shows? They have a name for them.
Tokusatsu.
There you go.
Yeah,
I knew Brian would pull that one out.
These were scuba suits for Ultraman.
Oh yeah, just colored scuba suits?
Yeah.
Because he was, red and silver, right?
Yes, yeah. And then they changed every season because they kept losing them.
The suit would just rip or something, they'd have to do a new one?
Yeah.
That's funny.
So every season, every new season, the Ultraman got a new look.
Classic, they were just like, yeah, we'll go with it.
It's the mid-season upgrade.
Yeah, I mean, I really do like the mechs, the power suits off the Netflix show. It's the Ultraman's kid.
Yeah, I haven't watched that one yet.
So he's not actually half alien. Well, he's kind of half alien, I guess, because his DNA is changed because his dad was grafted to an alien for so long.
Nobody wants to be grafted to an alien.
Well, it saved his life, Rob. You know that.
It turned him into Ultraman. Ultra and Man. I think I like that too, where it's like the aliens are called the Ultra, and it's like, he's a man, so it's Ultraman.
You're just a man.
I finally beat Cyberpunk 2077. You never get to pilot a mech, unfortunately, but you do get to fight a lot, but it's fun. A lot of people crap on it, but I enjoyed the story, and it was still pretty good. So I'm excited about maybe an expansion. We get some mech combat.
It would be nice.
I'm still working on Votoms. I'm about halfway through now, the original series. It's good. It's like, the whole series is kind of based on like what happens after a war. And there's all these little skirmishes, but the big war has ended. And now it's kind of like this time where people are trying to build up after the war. So it's an interesting concept, and you're following around, one guy, which more on that later. But, I like it. It's really good. I love also that they, the Scope Dog, which is like the main character, Kiriko.
The main mech, yeah.
Yeah, he pilots, but it's like, the Scope Dog, there isn't one of them. It gets destroyed constantly. They just keep finding more of them. It's like the generic mech that they just keep finding, so it's pretty funny. That's, it's constantly getting limbs blown off, and he's gotta get a new one. So it's, you think of like, most times it's like an iconic thing but no, it's just a utilitarian thing. He gets a new one every show, pretty much.
Nice.
Another season of Obsolete came out. Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, Votoms is on my list, and I really want to get to watch it someday.
Yep, High Five. That's where I'm watching it. It's pretty good. It's subbed, so there's no dubbing if anybody turns anybody off, but it's fine. It takes more to watch because you have to actually pay attention because you got to read the subtitles. So you can't be doing something else.
I like dubbed.
Yeah. Dubbed, you could do something else while watching it, where this, you have to actually pay attention. Otherwise, you're missing plot.
Subs always jack me up because I always spend more time reading than looking.
Yeah, this one, I think they keep the words to a minimum. It's not like some shows are very wordy, and they're like sentences upon sentences that you have to read. This one's kind of like a lot of screaming and a lot of just yelling at each other during the fight scenes, at least.
I'm pretty sure I told this story already about subs. Like I saw episode 3, was it Revenge of the Sith? In Sweden.
Revenge of the Sith.
So the movie's in English, right?
Yeah.
And it's Swedish subtitled. So I kept missing parts of the movie because I was reading the goddamn Swedish subtitles, and I can't even read Swedish.
I think this is something about your attention span.
I don't know. So I looked at my cousin, I go, I keep reading the damn Swedish titles, and I can't read Swedish.
I think I'm the same way with flashing lights, so it's all right, Pat.
So that's my problem. That's my problem with subtitles. It just distracts from the movie for me, but I get through it sometimes. But the stupid part is I'm reading Swedish subtitles, and I don't know how to read Swedish.
Well, you probably didn't miss much. It was which movie was it? Phantom Menace?
No, Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Which
Any of those.
It's better. I think that's the best of the three, though.
I will say, like the as a little aside for that movie, if you watch the scene where Anakin and Obi-Wan kind of start their duel,
Spoilers.
if you watch it in Japanese,
it makes a lot more sense.
it's like it feels much more like less stagey and everything because maybe it's just because
it
you watch
feels
anime,
more like an
it's
anime.
already, yeah.
Over the top, kind of already unrealistic.
Like the dialogue feels natural when you're reading subtitles and they're speaking Japanese, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because you put up with when you read the subtitles in these anime, especially Votom's actually, since it's so old, that the translation is not perfect, and sometimes you're like, that's not what they meant when they said that, or that was a weird way of saying something. It's because they were just like, whoever translated was just like, yeah, I'm just going to do the exact wording instead of the meaning of the words, But Votom's holds up, though, for being, like, same era as Robotech and all these shows. Like, it's up there with Gundam. I'm amazed it's not as well known as Gundam. I don't know why it isn't. Like, it is in, like, I guess in the mech community, but generally, like, Gundam is everywhere, right? But you don't hear about Votom's. Like, I think the storytelling is very similar. Like, they even had like a Vietnam kind of allegory in one of because it's kind of like set pieces where they go to a certain place and there's like 5 or 6 episodes in that place and they go somewhere else. And yeah, like there's like a Vietnam one, just like the which one was it? The Gundams? Your favorite one?
Oh,
yeah, that's right. Anyways, it's good. Votom's is good. So I was about to say, Obsolete from Bandai on YouTube came out. It originally comes out on YouTube Premium, and then like a week later, each episode comes out. The whole thing for season 2 is out now. Season 1 was kind of like a snippet of the world, and it was fun, and you kind of starting to get an idea of a storyline. Season 2 was like, hey, let's just throw the storyline out the window and just kind of do strange things. And they took chances, which are fine, but...
That's Vamp.
What's that?
That's Vamp.
Vamp?
Yeah, read it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I was like, Vamp? Like in vampires? Yes, yeah, they were, like the very final episode, it was like a takeoff on a super, what do they call them? It's the girl pilots, and they're all scantily clad in these mech suits that have no armor on them. It was like, what? This is weird. Like, this is such a strange takeoff, and you're watching it, and then only at the very end, they were like, oh, it's somebody watching this in the obsolete world. You're like, what a strange choice to have your final episode of this season to be that. Like, it's just, it seems to me like they're just doing it.
Sounds like it's turned into Victory Gundam there.
Yeah, like it was like weird. And, I think they're doing just what they want to do. It's for fun, and it's in Japan, I guess you can buy the models, so it's kind of selling the Bandai models, but it's definitely not a cohesive story yet. And I don't know if it ever will be. It is only, I think each of those episodes is like 15 minutes long, maybe. So over 2 seasons, I think there's been maybe 2 hours. So if you're watching an actual show, this would be like the 4th episode. So I can see how it's the way they're releasing it probably influences how the show is, but it's just odd. It's an odd show. But a great animation, great, like designs. And the thing about Obsolete is it's an alien race has, given the world, like kind of like mechs, powered armor almost, but it's more like a robot that you kind of sit on. And, but they're trading it for like nothing, for like carbon or something like that. It's something like it ends up being $100 to get one of these, so everyone can have a mech. And then people are just clamping other things onto them. So every nation or every place has different ways. Like the African nations, they're obviously poorer, so they kind of like just throw their people on them, and they have the bare minimum of armor. And then the Americans are like over-engineered, and the one American scientist is drinking the juice from outside of these robots, and we don't know if these robots are actually robots or they're aliens or what, so she could be drinking their blood. It's like really weird. and it's a great show though. It's fun. You just have to put up with some weird stuff.
You guys say what I watch is weird.
It's a strange, like, non sequitur show. Like it's little snippets here and there, and you think there's a story happening, and then it kind of goes away from it. And I suggest it's free, so go on YouTube and watch it. But and it doesn't take much of your time. But Obsolete is odd. And I think that covers everything I've been doing. I talked for a long time, so hopefully somebody else has more stuff to talk about.
Well, you talked about a couple of things of mine, so
yeah, I think you're up next, Pat.
So again, not too much because I'm hobbying again. But I will say I did finish watching Obsolete 2, and I thought the ending was a bit weird. And I do like the premise, just like aliens just trading off mechs for everyone. People are like, hey, I got a mech too,
Yeah, anybody can just have one. Yeah.
But if you haven't seen it, you should check it out. It is a very good show. I'm rereading the Blood of Kerensky series. When I get to it, I'm kind of near the half end of Lethal Heritage.
You're being reintroduced to the clans, and maybe you'll learn to love them.
I don't know. I feel like I need to read it again. The start of the clan invasion, so I can rediscover my hatred of 1,000 Suns.
I do love, though, when they first meet the clans, and Phelan Kell is trying to identify it, and it gets going, no, it's a Marauder. No, it's a Catapult. No, it's a Marauder.
Yes.
No, it's a Catapult. No, it's a Mad Cat. And that's where it gets his name. I love that.
Yes. I did like that battle scene where he was all out.
Yeah. I wouldn't call it a battle. Yeah. He just gets destroyed.
He was holding his own, but when he thought it was just a regular Intersphere mech.
Well, I thought it was pirates, I think, originally, right?
Yeah, when he thought it was just a regular mech, not this overpowered, overheated clan mech with quadruple heat sinks.
And hitting him at super long range.
Yes. And so he gets a good hit, and he's thinking, all right, that should have crippled you, but why am I still hitting armor kind of thing? And then he gets taken out with a one shot, which is clan. Regardless, it's still a good book. And Michael Stackpole always writes a good book. So I wanted to read Blood of Kerensky again before any more of the other new books come out, so I can remember, how much I don't like the clan. Unless it's Clan Vacation Guys. I do like Clan Vacation Guys. So I got those 3 books on my Kindle. Is it a Kindle when it's on my Galaxy?
Kindle app?
On my Kindle app.
Yes.
Like Rob, also I finished reading up the Ultraman comic book. It's a nice new take of what I used to watch when I was a kid. A little more updated kind of a thing, so it's kind of nice. I didn't beat Cyberpunk because my computer crashed.
You can blame Cyberpunk for that.
Yes, I better blame Cyberpunk for everything, just like everyone else did. So if I hadn't been playing Cyberpunk on my computer, my motherboard would have burnt out. Sony, you owe me some money.
Sounds familiar.
But as far as movies, I don't think I've watched any mech movies other than Obsolete. I was going to wait till Rob was done with Votons before I dove into it, so if I have any questions, I can go to him.
There you go.
And I just learned about the Kids Logic game today, too, so I'm very excited about that.
Nice.
But that's all I got.
Well, I've had a couple things going on. I'm still plugging my way through Xenogears. Won't lie, it's slowed down a little bit because, as you can imagine, with the holidays that had come through, there were some new games that were on the docket. I was on a bit of a Star Wars kick, so I played through Fallen Jedi or Fallen Order, and where you get to command an AT-AT for a while,
there
an
you
AT-AT.
Go. It counts.
Is that the Fallen Order? Is that the Clone Trooper one?
No. It's the one where you basically you play as a Jedi apprentice in hiding, and
yeah. I remember.
You got like a little robot, and
it's got a really good. It's got a good Darth Vader battle scene in it.
Spoilers. No, it was a pretty fun game, and had a good time with it. And then I also got and finished playing Star Wars Squadrons, which is the dogfighting game where you play.
To do that with Rob, but we just never got around to it.
I only played the single player. Don't really intend to play the multiplayer at this time.
Oh no, you're playing the multiplayer. If we're going to get into it, you're playing the multiplayer. Because we're only going to play the multiplayer with people we know.
Right.
Not 12-year-olds who are going to yell at us.
And tell me
the story in it was all right. It was serviceable. It does was kind of that one thing where it's like I'm also kind of thinking I just had read that first X-Wing book from the Legends series, and so when you have it had a bunch of cameos of characters like Wedge shows up and a few other characters that are like in Rebels and things like that. So that was a fun time, but there was I'm trying not to spoil it, but I will say there was that bit of feel at the end where it's like, and the status quo didn't change.
Yeah, they have to if it's in between stuff.
Yeah, because it's in between. It's after Return of the Jedi and before The Force Awakens. So it's like dealing with remnants of Imperials and stuff like that.
It's Mandalorian, right?
Yeah.
Same time
it's something that's the Battlefront 2 game that came out a couple of years back was very similar. It you play as members of Inferno Squad, which is a hardcore stormtrooper elite unit, and that story of that game takes place like you're on Endor when the Death Star blows up. Spoilers.
Death Star blew up.
Blows up.
But yeah, so I've kind of burned through those two games. I also picked up another game that was kind of on my radar, which is the one called 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim. I know very little about this game. It's from a company called Vanillaware. They did the Dragon's Crown game and Odin Sphere. So it's this. I know it's mech related. Like I know there's mechs in it. That's about the extent of my knowledge about what happens in this game. But I'm really excited. It's been very positively received. It had been out in Japan, I think, since the late 2019, but only became worldwide like last September in 2020. And then it was on like a good, I think 60% off or something on PlayStation Network one day. So I'm like, yeah, I'm getting it. So I've got that game. I also picked up a game. I think I mentioned it once on the show before. This game called Be a Walker. It was on Nintendo Switch. I won't say it's a casual game, but it is one of those games where it's just kind of more of the gameplay than like any kind of real story or thing to it. It's a lot of procedurally generated stuff. And basically, if you take the premise of like James Cameron's Avatar, except you're a guy who goes around in this giant stompy robot who literally can step on people.
Are you the bad guys? Are you killing off the Navi?
You start as the bad guys. Eventually, I think you turn. According to the trailer, you do.
Very similar to Avatar.
Yeah, but it's kind of interesting because it has two control mechanics to it. One is kind of this, I won't call it an autopilot, but basically you move by just pushing to the right. Basically, you're a big stompy robot. You're facing right, and so you're just walking and shooting and stomping and stuff like that. But then there's this other mode where you can set it up so that you have to do each step of each leg with like the shoulder buttons.
Oh Jesus!
And you've got like limited oxygen while you're out there, kind of thing. So it's like you really can't dawdle too much. And it's just like waves of little dudes running at you, trying to kill you. So it's an interesting one. It's on the Switch. It's usually pretty cheap because it's kind of an indie title. But hey, if you want to check it out, it's different. And I think as a last cap for my my ComStar section, I did get my hands on Full Metal Panic Victory. I have not watched it yet, but I am excited to. I really enjoyed that series when it was coming out, and then it had a real long lull between the third season, Second Raid. Yes, the third season is called Second Raid, and this kind of final season. So I'm really excited. I like the characters, and you may hear about them coming up in our next section.
That's a segue.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Rick.
From Dead Zone the Podcast.
And you're listening to
Mobile Armor Radio.
Now entering the MechBay Hanger.
Welcome to the MechBay Hanger. This is the section of the show we kind of do a little bit of a roundtable discussion about some topic related to mechs in some fashion. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, we thought since it is the month of Valentine's Day, why don't we talk about romance in Mecha? And specifically, we're going to look at some of the power couples that we might enjoy in different franchises, and maybe a little bit about why we like them. So, why don't I, if I may, since I segued into it so eloquently, I'll kind of start it off with talking about Sosuke Sagara and Kaname Chidori from Full Metal Panic. It's for those that are unfamiliar with the show, it's this scenario where the lead female character is a schoolgirl who has some special abilities that make it so militaries in the world kind of want her for research and technology and all sorts of fun stuff. And so our other plucky hero, Sosuke Sagara, is charged with protecting her, but has to try to do so undercover as a student. Now he's he's very much a hardcore, like he's very militant and drilled and everything like that, and is very out of place in a Japanese high school rom-com environment, as it were. It really is, But the franchise follows these two characters on a number of adventures, some serious, some really funny, and but they have a great chemistry to them, where they really connect on a level, even if they're kind of constantly nagging at one another, or more often Chidori is complaining about why Sosuke is being an idiot, because he can't read social cues and throws off smoke bombs in the middle of a classroom and all sorts of other fun stuff like that. But yeah, so that's one couple that I wanted to point out. They're a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see how the franchise kind of concludes for them. So I'm going to pass it back to Rob.
Okay, I'll start with Mazgo for Battletech. Battletech's not known for its romance. It's pretty much a dystopian, terrible future where everybody's fighting all the time. Unless
you assume arranged marriages are romance.
That's right. Yeah, I wouldn't consider Melissa Steiner and
Hans Davian.
Hans Davian, yeah. But,
love to love.
Yes. But I do consider their son, Victor, and he falls in love with Omi, the daughter of their arch enemy, the Karitas, and it's Romeo and Juliet situation with just probably about as happy as an ending of that, but especially for Omi. But no spoilers. But that's where everybody hates Victor pretty much as a character, just because people don't like rooting for the rich white guy and spoiled rich white guy. So, but this is the one place where I think Victor actually shows that he's a good character, is that in his romance with Ami. She kind of brings out the best in him, and if he had just settled down, as most characters, I think they're bound by their honor or their duty to not just settle down and live happily ever after. He had the chance to do it, and he didn't do it. And that's his fatal flaw. I think most protagonists have a fatal flaw. But very Romeo and Juliet. They actually bring the Davians and the Kuritas together from Mortal Enemy. The clans helped a little bit, but their love, I think, was the real thing that held this together.
A little bit.
Well, common enemy and all that. But their love kind of brought these two societies together and showed that they can transcend bounds. And if not for Victor's asshole of a sister, I think we could have been happily ever after. But Katrina Steiner is an asshole. So that's my first one.
She's a pragmatist.
No, she's a patriciding maniac.
Katrina Steiner is a blessed woman.
No, she's not. The original Katrina Steiner is, yes, but not this one.
I was trying to remember the line from whatever movie that was with I can't remember his damn name now. Oh, from Anchorman, when they were talking about that guy's mother.
She's a saint?
Yeah.
No.
Who's that actor? What's the damn actor's name? It's going to kill me now.
I don't remember that part of Anchorman.
Will Ferrell? I don't know. I seen those movies once a piece.
He's from damn Chicago, too.
Is it Ant-Man?
No, it was in the other group. It was Nemesis.
No, I don't remember.
They have a lot of them.
Yeah, there's a big brawl, which is great.
So Vince Vaughn. Vince Vaughn. I can't remember that also. Vince Vaughn.
He's from Chicago? Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Isn't he a big Cubs fan?
Yeah. So my turn.
Yes, your turn. Pat. Vince Vaughn is your choice? That's an odd one.
Vince Vaughn and Will Ferrell.
Amy Adams.
From Robotech. So I'll be the first one to do the Robotech one. And it's probably the only one I like in Robotech, actually. I mean, there's a little bit of Fokker and Claudia, but
that gets interrupted. Yeah.
But it's Max Sterling and Maria.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Because she went out, I like it because she miniaturized herself to kill him.
Yeah, she hates him.
fell in love with him over a video arcade game.
And then the knife fight that followed.
Yeah, the knife fight that ends in her falling in love with him. She's an odd character.
She is.
They go on to have a very large and happy, well, mostly happy family in both franchises.
Well, yeah, doesn't the kid Dana, doesn't she show up in...
Dana is their daughter.
Dana's
but she's
the main
only
character in the second...
That's Robotech.
She's in Robotech, what is it, in the Robotech Master one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't there another Sterling in the Infinite Invasion?
In New Generations?
No, there's no...
I don't recall.
No, I don't remember
Sterling's
either.
there, no. I think in the movie, what was that movie that came out after that kind of connected to all those things together? I think there was a Sterling there.
Oh, Shadow Chronicles?
Yeah, Shadow Chronicles. I think there's a Sterling in that. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, in the Macross side of things, their daughter goes on to be a main character in Macross 7. They're actually both in that series, though it sounds like their marriage got a little strained. She's the mayor of their colony ship, and then he pilots the SDF fortress that's basically defending that city. And so their daughter is in a rock band, as you can imagine, and then they really do have like 8 kids or something like that.
But they had 2. I know in the original they had 2. They had, what is it, Dana and Maya. Something like that.
Yeah, I think in the Macross they have twins or something too. I think there's a bunch of kids.
Yeah. I mean, as far as these romance, I mean, it's always, first inkling is to go to Robotech, so.
But they have actually a good ending compared to most of the ones, especially all the ones on my list. They at least have a good ending.
Yeah, I mean, the whole Min-Mei Rick Hunter thing is just makes me want to bang my head against the wall.
Well, it's Lisa. Min-Mei was never, Rick and Min-Mei were never together. It's Rick and Lisa.
But he always had, he was like the ridiculous idiot that always, yeah.
I know. Always pining after this girl who was an asshole. Another asshole girl.
All right, so what do you got?
So my next one is I'm going to dip the toe into the Gundam franchise, but specifically G Gundam, where with Domon Kashu and Rain. What the heck was Rain's last name? I got it here, Mikamura. So for those that haven't seen that show, it's a Mortal Kombat Battle Royale Street Fighter-esque showdown slugfest between giant Gundams doing martial arts at each other. And like the whole point of the show by the end of it is for our main character Domon, who's kind of a knucklehead, to admit that he loves this woman that's been helping him the entire time. And there's a wonderful short AMV that I know of that it's literally like 12 seconds long, and it's the final scene where they join forces to defeat the big bad, sung to the Power of Love by Huey Lewis and the News.
It's the power of love.
It's fun. It's pretty cheesy, but it's like it's over the top, and in that great way that really kind of gets you pumped. But the romance, the chemistry between the two of them is really a great piece of the show, and I think they do it really well. So nice. I think we'll keep going in the same order. I think makes sense. So is that Rob's next?
Perfect, because I have the last of the Robotech / Maspida this time. It's going to be Stick or Scott in Robotech, and Ariel or Marlene. Scott or Stick.
Scott.
Yeah.
Just
Mospeed is better, anyways. But so Stick, he comes to Earth after pretty much their whole attack force gets killed. So, and including his fiance, which really bums him out. But in that,
as it would.
He learns to fall in love with this other girl who it turns out it's a clone, or I don't think she's a clone. I guess she is cloned technically, but she's an in-bit in human form who'd lost her memory, so she doesn't know that. But he gives up his hatred, and because he's really obviously hates the people who killed his fiance, but he learns to fall in love with this person. But in the end, his once again duty calls, and he leaves Earth to go fight join up with the big attack group to go after. I think they're actually after, at that point, the Invid or Inbit already left, so I don't know who they're attacking at that point. That's Shadow Chronicles. I never remember what happens in Shadow. So, he leaves her on Earth because she stayed when all the Inbit left. And it's a sad ending to the romance, but I like over the whole show them slowly realizing that they love each other, and he's still an idiot for not staying with her. Once again, if he just stayed and been happy, they could have lived happily ever after. But no, these people can never live happily ever after. You can see my anti-Valentines coming through here. So, Pat, what's your next one?
My next one is going to be Zeta Gundam. It's going to be For and Camille.
Nice.
For Murasami, the new type. There's another one born from wanting to kill the other one.
Yeah, yours has an interesting
Camille has a lot of lady friends in that show.
He does, but this is the one that he actually, felt bad and always tried to save until the very end. He's always trying to get her to convert. You got to leave, and you got to leave your psycho Gundam. Pilot a real Gundam. But didn't. She does it dying at the end anyways when they fight.
As
she's
nice,
trying to get her memories back. But she does save him. Her spirit does protect him later on. Is it in Gundam ZZ or something like that?
Double Z, yeah.
Maybe.
Double Zeta. But,
I actually haven't watched Double Zeta.
Yeah, It's star-crossed. But Camille does have a lot of girlfriends. Well, people. What about what's his little childhood friend? She's the real. The poor lady. She just wants to be good, and he just ignores her.
And she looks after him after he kind of goes comatose.
Yeah, she looks after everybody. She looks after little kids on the ship.
But I think that's when what's face was presumed dead the first time, though, right?
You have to be more specific. There's a lot of presumed dead characters.
I mean, when Ford was presumed dead the first time, when they had their big battle and they thought she was she was dead, but she was actually in Africa.
It's been a long time since I saw that.
Yeah. So that's the one thing I remembered, and then that's when she gets the Psycho Gundam.
Psycho Gundam.
Classic Psycho Gundam.
It's not your conventional love story, that's for sure.
It's not, which is why I kind of chose it.
Brian, what you got?
Well, I trying to kind of keep the some other franchises in the mix here. I've got Simone the Digger and Nia Teplin from Gurren Lagann. This is a couple that he finds her locked away in a suitcase essentially, and rescues her. But she comes into his life at a time when he's kind of at his lowest point, and is kind of the spurring force that really kind of gets him, to realize, the good in the world and to carry on and succeed. And over the course of the show, we see like they meet when they're both pretty young. We get to see them as they both grow into adults. Some other shenanigans happen, and I won't spoil it, but this let's just say that Simone will move the earth, the heavens, and throw them at a giant interdimensional beast to get his lady love back.
True love.
Mm-hmm. It's a high octane show full of manly, powerful passion, and it translates very well when it comes to the love of these two characters.
Nice.
So do we have kind of one more each, sure, or should we put a pause there?
No, I got one more.
I don't have any.
Okay,
You
one
guys
more each.
Knock yours out because I don't have any more.
That's all right. My last one is obviously from the show I've been currently watching, and I'm only halfway through, so I don't know how this romance ends. Don't spoil it. But it's between Kiriko and Fiona, who is also known as Proto One, or she's a PS, which is a perfect soldier. She's pretty much another clone. She's only like not very old.
So then she dies.
Well, we don't know. We don't know yet. But
spoiling it.
She falls in love with him because that's the first thing she ever sees when she wakes up in her clone vat, is because Kiriko went to go steal her as part. He didn't know this, but he was part of a group of soldiers who were stealing this perfect soldier. And that's the first thing she sees, so she kind of imprints on him. And they've been on the opposite sides of this war, kind of. And she eventually joins him, and they run off together. And once again, they could just live happily ever after, but Kiriko he's obsessed with getting revenge against the people that screwed him. So he won't give it up. So we'll see if by the end he maybe settles down, they have a nice farm, and I doubt it. It's going to end horribly for both of them, I'm sure. But so far it's the whole time she's just like, please, just settle down with me. And he refuses to admit that he loves her too, and she's like, come on. He's very closed off. For her being the perfect soldier, he's very closed off, and there's implications that he may also be a perfect soldier, maybe not cloned, but maybe just naturally grown into it. So we'll see if he can finally just suck it up. He's just fall in love with a lady. She just wants you. Anyways, so that's what's happening with Votom's fun show, and yes. And he just randomly names her Fiona, which is a strange name just to randomly name her. So maybe it means something in Japanese. And that's it for me. Brian, you got any more?
I feel like Fiona, isn't that a Celtic name? But the one I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Shiro Amada and Aya Sahaline from 08th MS Team. There's a few other great pairings in that series, But these are the two mains, as we've heard in other romances on the podcast earlier. This is definitely a Romeo and Juliet. It's a Federation soldier meets a Xeon woman, and they happen upon each other in a number of times, and have to work together in order to survive. And from that, they become closer. They kind of learn more and more about one another and what it means to be, on opposite sides in this war, because they both have, their own friends and allies within that they want to support. But at the same time, they are in a very brutal war, as it were. And they power through it in a lot of ways. There's a lot of clashes of ideals and kind of taking stances, in the middle of this conflict, as it were. But no, they're a good pair. The writing, they only have a couple episodes to get from A to B, so it might seem a little rushed, but I think that it's definitely one that's enjoyable, and I think works pretty well. And as one last one, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention any of the other Macross series, which, for those that aren't aware, is based almost entirely on love triangles and tetrahedrons and all sorts of other shapes. But one of my favorites from the other shows that are only in Japan right now is in Macross Frontier, and it's between two side characters from the main set. Their names escape me. The female is Entrati, Meltlandi, woman named Clan, and she befriends a human. I think he's kind of part Zentradi. He's got like elf ears, named Mecha, who they're both pilots in the military, and they have a great chemistry with one another, and there's a lot of evidence that they have these strong feelings. But there is a bit of problem where Clan, when she's in her full giant size, her normal size, won't lie, she is a very buxom woman. But when she's micronized, there's, as they say in the show, there's something in her biology that makes her much more childlike, and and that drives a little bit of a wedge between them, where obviously Mikhail, he can't become giant size in this case, or wouldn't be comfortable with it, but there's a great kind of tension. There's a push and pull with both of those characters kind of wrestling with that side that they want to be together, but there's kind of this problem, as it were. And Mikhail, he kind of plays off as being a bit of a playboy, but in that kind of lighthearted, not serious kind of fashion. And it has a bit of a tragic ending, and I won't spoil it here. You'll just have to watch Macross Frontier. It is a good show. And right. So that, I think that'll wrap us up for our romantic Mobile Armor Radio episode.
No smooches.
Bah humbug.
And so with that, we're going to head to the ExFil.
Let's ExFil out of here.
And that's a wrap on this episode 32 of February 2021. Thank you all for joining us. This has been a fun episode to do. Yeah. Something a little different.
There was much anger to be involved and much tragedy of love stories.
Yeah. There's just as much violence and death in these romances.
But we have seen the birth of a new clan, so.
Well, we haven't seen it yet. We've heard of it.
Clan vacation, guys. Well, it's just like anything else with the clan. You just hear rumors, and then one day,
clan
right in the face.
Right in the face.
So thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time.
Goodbye.
This has been Mobile Armor Radio. Join our Facebook group by searching for Mobile Armor Radio. Find us on Twitter at @MArmorRadio. Find us on iTunes and visit our website, mobilearmorradio.podbean.com. Join us on the first of every month for more Mecha discussion.